If you've ever had a job, you know what it's like to get one of those performance reviews where they ask you how well you get along with your coworkers. These people in these workplace petty revenge stories decided they didn't need to be professional anymore, it was time to get petty. Story 1 is titled, "My boss kept scheduling meetings during my lunch, so I started eating it every meeting. I used to take my lunch break at the same time every day, 12 to 1. I don't eat breakfast, just coffee and lots of water. So my lunch is essential and I can't skip it. My calendar was blocked. My new boss, newly promoted power tripping, started scheduling meetings right in the middle of it. The first couple of times, I let it slide. Figured maybe it was urgent. But then it became a pattern. I pushed back and reminded him that was during my lunch break. He said, "Well, we all make sacrifices sometimes." Cool, got it. Next meeting, I showed up with a full plate of spaghetti and meatballs, had my camera on, and mic unmuted, slurping and chewing, occasionally gave a thumbs up mid-bite. Few days later, it repeated, so I bought sticky wings. Last week on Thursday, it happened again. Glad I still had my pizza. He finally asked, "Do you have to eat during the meeting?" I smiled and said, "We all have to make sacrifices sometimes." Today, it's Friday. We don't have any meetings during my lunch hours this week. Update: Reddit absolutely loved this story. The OP got tons of awards and they were inspired to come up with something like a cooking show where they could cook all kinds of different things during their work meeting. We're talking seafood, steak, pizza, Chinese food, Japanese food. It was a whole buffet. Story 2 is a great example of living rent-free in someone's head. Titled, "I was promoted above my rude, dismissive colleague, and now I'm driving her crazy by gray-rocking her. I, 36 female, have a colleague, Jamie, 43 female. I started 3.5 years ago at our organization, and she came on not long after. I began part-time in my role doing fundraising while she was full-time in administration. We're on a team of 7, so pretty small, and I'm the only fundraising person there. Our organization is probably around 50 people altogether. At first, things were good. We shared an office, bantered, talked about our weekends, and little casual life stuff. Totally friendly vibes. Then a year ago, I started sensing a power dynamic shift. I was growing in my role and starting to take more initiative, even being part-time. At that point, she started leaving me out of important fundraising-related meetings and conversations, despite her not having any fundraising expertise and an entirely unrelated role. Anytime I tried to get information or remind her to include me, she would either talk around the issue, do it once and then forget, or ignore me altogether. She would also put wildly inappropriate numbers in our budget and resist any feedback from me on how to adjust them. One time in a meeting, Jamie spouted some completely inaccurate, wildly overblown fundraising numbers, and I gently corrected it, saying something like, "To clarify, we're still in discussions about these numbers, so things might shift." She turned to me with a nasty expression and shut me down by whispering something rude that only I could hear. For various reasons I won't get into, going to our cynical, checked out boss wasn't a good option, and HR really doesn't exist in our organization. My part-time role meant I had very little power, so I decided to start looking for a new job. But then a full-time person on a different team had to take medical leave and I offered to step in and cover her work for a few months. Ultimately, I was offered her job and moved into a full-time position. The organization even helped me rewrite the job description so I could continue doing some fundraising plus her job. And I have my own assistant to share the load. It was a big promotion for our kind of organization. I even got my own office while Jamie had to keep sharing with 2 other people, which I'll admit felt good. And while I'm not totally sure, I'm pretty certain I'm making more than Jamie now too. Now Jamie only gets a half smile and a curt "hey" when I arrive at work. I don't even stop by her office to say hi or good night, and we only speak when necessary. I also started signing off all my emails to her with "best" instead of "thanks", and I am completely boring and neutral professional around her. Meanwhile, my new assistant, for whom I wrote the job description and got to help interview and hire is absolutely fantastic. I took her out to lunch the other day to celebrate her first few months here, and as she was about to go back into her office, she now shares with Jamie. She asked if we could do lunch more regularly. I said, sure, let's make it monthly. Jamie was in there to overhear the whole thing, and I honestly hope she did. She ain't getting any lunch with me. That's something you gotta earn by being a good colleague. And she's been nothing but dismissive and disrespectful to me. I can tell it's getting to her. She's been overperforming friendliness to me, fishing for me to get chummy again, and sharing news of any tiny donation coming in as if we should be jumping up and down and screaming like children at recess. I'm always extremely calm and cordial to her, and always collaborative in meetings. She continues ignoring my emails where I remind her of something or give a directive without question. I know I'm getting under her skin, and she knows I have more power now. I would never sabotage her, but it feels good knowing she feels intimidated and unstable. She should. This is what happens when you're an insecure, rude colleague at work. This story sounds like the classic can dish it out but can't take it. What is it with people who go out of their way to be mean and rude to people, and then people say, okay, I'm not going to bother with them, and then they can't believe that they're not getting their way, where people are trying to be friendly with them anymore? I guess I could ask questions, but this channel probably won't be turning into a psychological one. For story 3, we have somebody who tries to be difficult and different just to mess with people, and it backfires spectacularly. Titled, Coworker Acts Against Their Own Interests Out of Spite, and it backfires gloriously. On mobile, so excuse any errors. Warning, way long, but hopefully entertaining. At my 30s female job, I lead a team that manages half a miserable process. The other half is done by an entirely different department. I'd honestly rather shovel crap. The process is such a pain. The other department director, 30s female, let's call her K, despises me. I can get why, but to sum it up, it's all dumb reasons that give women a bad rep in professional settings. Jealousy, territorial drama. The glass ceiling could have been constructed because of a woman just like Kay. When the needed frequency of this process kept increasing, I made a call to outsource my team's part of it. It was cheaper, the vendor seemed confident, and they even had an impressive AI that has since been proven to be more efficient than my own team, and definitely hers. This decision made Kay furious, as she has repeatedly expressed her opinion that she should control the whole process. The only reason my team was needed at all is she lacked the needed tech-oriented resources on her team. Yet she continually made excuses for why she couldn't train her team instead of demanding to hire more bodies. Since her team already demonstrated problems with efficiency and accuracy, leadership refused to approve new roles. Kay made my life miserable every chance she got. She tried repeatedly to sabotage the deal, saying she didn't think the vendor would work. Classic attempts like spreading unfounded doubts, saying it's too complicated, and even some cringe personal attacks on a leadership call. The savings were too good though, and the vendor included a quality clause. In 6 months, if they sucked, I'd look like an idiot, but we could get out of the contract. So onboarding the vendor got underway despite her efforts. The last step was agreeing what the new process would be. There were 2 options. One had the benefit of more control and oversight by me, but it wasn't very efficient and was more work and headache for my team. It did, however, lessen the impact to Kay. I got the proposal together for leadership and started mentally prepping for the battle I knew she'd put up when I realized she'd probably disagree to be difficult regardless of the actual impact and attempt to make me look bad in front of leadership. I was so sure of that at the last minute, I decided to gamble. I'd explain both and endorse the one that benefited her the most. Y'all, I had not even finished speaking my endorsement before she was unmuted and protesting. I nodded and smiled and let her finish, then praised her great insight and instantly agreed to her terms. Leadership immediately approved, probably grateful the ordeal was finally over. It took 2 weeks for her to realize what she had done. She had freed my team of the process entirely. all the questions, late nights, chasing people down. She agreed to all of it and had no way to back out. After all, that is what she fought for. After 2 more weeks, she straight up resigned. I hope I never forget the smug look on her face of winning in front of leadership. TLDR, a coworker disagrees just to be difficult and quits when she realized what she fought for. Side note, no team members were harmed by this outsourcing. We're plenty business without the hassle. Imagine hating somebody so much that you destroy your own career. Sounds like a live action rabbit season, duck season kind of thing.
Rabbit season, duck season, fire!
Or is a shorter one, but it has just the right amount of meticulous pettiness. Titled, Colleague Made Fun of Me and in return I mess with his stuff for months. So I work in a big company as a leader of a maintenance team. One of our technical supervisors, who does a kind of planning and organizing job, sat one day in my chair at my desktop when I came in for a shift change about 6 months ago. So I complained to him that I had to have the chair adjusted back, which was no big deal. But then he started to make fun of me in a really annoying manner, called me a crybaby, and was really upset about my complaint. He just didn't stop. The thing is now, I usually work night shifts and I have access to his office. It's a big office for 20 people. I waited for some time and then started to mess with his stuff about 3 months ago. I pulled the plug on his mouse so it's loose multiple times. I changed the height of his chair just a bit, enough to be realized. I rearranged the stuff on his desk, single items from left to right most of the time. I dropped and put 1 single drop of sugar on his return key. I loosened the screw on his armrest a bit so it wasn't fixed anymore. I exchanged the mine of a pen with an empty one twice. I pulled about 20 pages of a Post-it apart and put them back together so they barely stick anywhere, and some more. Lots of little inconveniences about 2 times a week for the last months. Edit. To celebrate this thread, I went there tonight and loosened the screws of the handle of his drawer in the desk just a little bit. It wiggles a tiny bit now. I can edit for typos. So today we have 2 petty revenge stories where they actually remain pretty professional. They just kind of let the people handle it themselves and now they're suffering the consequences. And the other 2 are just super petty and funny. Let me know in the comments how you would handle petty coworkers. Never forget, I try to answer every comment. If petty is your thing, we've got a whole playlist of petty. Right now, YouTube is showing you our petty revenge playlist. We've got dog owners who get what they deserve, people who think they can park wherever they want, getting exactly what's coming to them, people who got caught up in a love scam and wouldn't let it go, more coworker stories where you can cheer while their coworkers get what they deserve. We got a little bit of everything. I'll see you over there. And hey, you can picture their head exploding if you want.